We are the Gujarat Technological University. Since its inception over a decade ago, GTU has been empowering young and curating minds to realize their true potential. Over 4 lakh inspired students are enrolled with one of the premier academic universities in India. With more than 450 affiliated colleges in its fold operating across 5 zones of the state, GTU, the International Innovative University, your place to move forward.
Hello friends, myself Jignesh M. Barot. I'm working as an assistant professor in Mahatma Gandhi Institute of Technical Education and Research Center, Navsari. We will learn in this lecture about heating, ventilating and air conditioning system design. It is also known as HVAC system. A heating, ventilating and air conditioning system is designed to satisfy the environmental requirements of comfort or a process in a specific building or portion of a building and in a particular geographic locally. The HVAC regulates mainly room temperature, humidity, air quality and airflow. Okay, so we discuss about design of this HVAC system. So designer must understand a great deal beyond basic HVAC system design and the outdoor climate. They must also understand the process or the comfort requirements. Designers must understand how the building is or will be constructed and whether that construction is suitable for the stipulated use of the space. It is also necessary to understand the use of the building and in most buildings the use of each part. How does this use affect occupancy, activity level, humidity, temperature and ventilation requirements? Designers must have answers to this and many other questions before they can design a suitable HVAC system. HVAC systems are of great importance to architectural design efforts for 3 main reasons. First, the systems consume substantial floor space or building volume for equipment and distribution elements that must be accommodated during the design process. Second, HVAC systems constitute a single major budget item in building projects. Third, the success of a building depends on the ability to provide thermal comfort with the least operating costs like maintenance cost, energy or replacement cost. This depends on the HVAC system design, equipment and controls. You can see in this the HVAC design process. There are several steps to design a HVAC system. Every HVAC design involves, as a first step, a problem solving process, usually with the objective of determining the most appropriate type of HVAC system for a specific application. So, first define the objective. What is the end result desired? For HVAC, the objective usually is to provide an HVAC system which will control the environment within required parameters at a life cycle cost compatible with the need. Keep in mind that the cost will relate to the needs of the process. Second, define the problem. The problem in this illustration is to select the proper HVAC systems and equipment to meet the objectives. The problem must be clearly and completely defined so that the proposed solutions can be shown to solve the problem. Third one is define alternative solutions. Brainstorming is useful here. There are always several different ways to solve any problem. If remodeling or renovation is involved, one alternative is to do nothing. Number 4. Evaluate the alternatives. Each alternative must be evaluated for effectiveness and cost. Note that doing nothing always has a cost equal to the opportunity or energy or efficiency lost by not doing something else. Number 5. Select an alternative. Many factors enters into the selection process: effectiveness, cost, availability, practicality, and others. There are intangible factors too, such as an owner's desire for a particular type of equipment. Number 6. Check. Does the selected alternative really solve the problem? Number 7. Implement the selected alternative. Design, construction, and operate the system. Number 8. Evaluate. Have the problems been solved? The objectives met? What improvements might be made in the next design? So these parameters are considered in the HVAC system process, design process. Now we'll discuss about design criteria for HVAC system. So first is type of application. In this application, there are various applications for HVAC systems. You can see in this different types of applications. So first is residential application. In this, two essential residential criteria are adequate comfort and the need of occupants to be able to adjust the controller set point. In larger residences like over 2400 square feet area, the use of multiple HVAC systems should be considered. To allow zoning, this criteria extend to apartments and hotel or motel guest rooms. First, cost and operating cost are concerns, as are simplicity and an acceptable sound level. Second application is offices. Two basics needs are comfort and an adequate ventilation rate. Here, ventilation rate is airflow in cubic feet per minute per square foot or per person, so that occupants will not complain of stuffy or dead air. Where smoking is allowed, the ventilation rate and the amount of outside air must be increased. Controls are often designed to be non-adjustable by occupants. Zoning must be provided to compensate for use, occupant density, and exterior exposure. Conference rooms and corner offices should be separate zones. Another application is hotels and motels. A small residential motel must meet only residential criteria. A large resort or conference hotel has many varying needs. The building may include not only such public areas as lobbies, restaurants, health and recreation facilities like swimming pool, etc., meeting rooms, retail and service shops, but also such behind the scenes facilities as kitchens, warehousing and storage for food and materials, shops like carpentry, electrical, plumbing, furniture repair, etc., offices, central plant equipment like HVAC plant, electrical plant, laundry, employee lounge and eating areas, and others. Another application is hospitals. Hospitals are always interesting and challenging for the HVAC designer because of the wide variety of environmental conditions required in various departments. For example, the operating suite with heavily clothed staff working under hot lights require a design temperature of about 65 to 70 Fahrenheit with relative humidity held to a range between 50 to 60% and a high percentage of outside air when the suit is in use. To achieve the clean conditions needed, the supply air must be filtered through high efficiency filters, preferably at or near the discharge into the room, and high airflow rate is needed. These requirements all have a rational basis in research. 50 to 55% relative humidity is the value at which bacteria propagate least readily. Next application is malls and educational buildings. At a college and university level, the facility takes on an institutional character with emphasis on higher quality HVAC equipment and systems with longer life and lower maintenance costs. There are many special purpose buildings including auditoriums and theaters, laboratory facilities of many kinds. Another application is manufacturing facilities. Process environments dominate the manufacturing criteria or area of HVAC applications. Typical requirements include very close control of temperature like plus or minus 1 Fahrenheit or less is not unusual, and humidity like plus or minus 3 to 5% is typical. This criteria can be met only by the use of carefully designed HVAC systems and very high quality control devices. Clean rooms often require high airflow rates but have normal or low heating and cooling loads. Machining operations usually generate an oil mist which is carried in the air and deposited everywhere. The HVAC system can be designed to control this problem to some degree. Painting processes also involve large quantities of exhaust and makeup air, control of space pressure, and removal of contaminants from the exhaust air. So these are the different types of application in which we discuss about design criteria for the HVAC system as per the application. Next point is cooling load of the specified area. There are different parameters like site information. In site information, the location and latitude are most important factors for the cooling load area. Second is design requirements. In design requirements, the need of room conditions and fresh air, return air, etc. Number 3 is availability of space for HVAC system. How to install an HVAC system. So availability of space is most important for the design criteria. Next, the main important process or important parameter is what type of HVAC system designers should select. Okay, so first is direct expansion or DX split AC. In direct expansion process system, the air is cooled with direct exchange of heat with refrigerant passing through the tubes of the finned cooling coil. A basic DX system comprises of a hermetic seal or open compressor, evaporator, a supply air blower, filter, a condenser, and heat reaction propeller fan. A term expansion refers to the method used to introduce the refrigerant into the cooling coil. The liquid refrigerant passes through an expansion device just before entering the evaporator. This expansion device reduces the pressure and temperature of the refrigerant to the point where it is colder than the air passing through the coil. You can see in this figure, the heat is extracted from the space and expelled to the outdoors, left to right, through three loops of heat transfer. In the leftmost loop, a supply air fan drives the indoor air across the evaporator where it transfers its heat to the liquid refrigerant over here. The resultant cooled air is thrown back to the indoor space. The liquid refrigerant is vaporized in the tubes of the evaporator. In the middle loop, a refrigeration compressor drives a vapor refrigerant from evaporator to the condenser and back to the evaporator as a liquid refrigerant. The cycle continues in closed loop copper tubing. In rightmost loop over here, a condenser air fan drives the ambient air across the condenser where it transfers heat of refrigerant to the outdoors. The refrigerant is cooled and liquefied after expanding it through an expansion valve located between condenser and evaporator. This one. Okay. This is the first system. Second is variable refrigerant flow, VRF system. Variable refrigerant flow is an air conditioning system where there is one outdoor condensing unit and multiple indoor units. The term variable refrigerant flow refers to the ability of the system to control the amount of refrigerant flowing to the multiple evaporators or indoor units, enabling the use of many evaporators of differing capacities and configurations connected to a single condensing unit. The arrangement provides an individual comfort, control and simultaneous heating and cooling in different zones. You can see in this figure the different zones, different indoor units and a single outdoor unit. The modern VRF technology uses an inverter driven scroll compressor and permits as many as 48 or more indoor units to operate from one outdoor unit. The inverter scroll compressors are capable of changing the speed to follow the variations in the total cooling or heating load as determined by the suction gas pressure measured on the condensing unit. The capacity control range can be as low as 6% to 100%. Refrigerant piping run of more than 200 feet are possible, and outdoor units are available in sizes up to 2,40,000 BTU per hour. Okay, next system is chilled water system. There are two variations: air cooled chilled water system and water cooled chilled water system. In chilled water system, the air is cooled with chilled water passing through the tubes of a vent coil or cooling coil. Chilled water systems are further categorized as air cooled and or water cooled system depending on how the heat is ejected out of the system. The heat is extracted from the space and expelled to the outdoors from left to right through four loops of heat transfer. The chilled water is produced in the evaporator of the refrigeration cycle and is pumped to a single or multiple air handling units containing cooling coils. The heat is rejected through an air-cooled condensing unit in the rightmost loop over here. Okay, in this figure, the heat is extracted from the space and expel to the outdoor left to right. Okay. Now we will see water cooled chill water system. You can see in this figure, the heat is extracted from the space and expelled to the outdoors left to right through the 5 loops of heat transfer. The chilled water is produced in the evaporator of the refrigeration cycle and is passed through a single or multiple cooling coils. The heat is rejected through a water-cooled condenser and the condenser water pump sends it to the cooling tower. The cooling tower's fan drives air across an open flow or hot condenser water, transferring the heat to the outdoors over here. The main equipment used in the chilled water system is a chiller package that includes a refrigeration compressors like centrifugal screw or centrifugal type compressor, saline tube heat exchanger or chilled water production. Saline tube heat exchanger as a condenser for heat rejection in water cooled configuration. Copper tube or aluminum finned condenser coil and fan as a condensing unit for air cooled configuration. And number 5 is an expansion valve between condenser and the evaporator. Next HVAC system is evaporative cooling system. Evaporative cooling occurs when moisture is added to air that has a relative humidity of less than 100%. The lower the relative humidity, the greater the temperature drop when moisture is added. The technology is a versatile and energy efficient alternative to compressor based cooling. In favorable climates, evaporative cooling can fully satisfy building cooling loads using 1/4 the energy of conventional equipment. Because there are two types in the evaporative cooling system: direct and indirect evaporative cooler. So direct evaporative cooling is the term applied to comfort cooling applications that simply add moisture directly to an airstream to cool the air while increasing its relative humidity. In most applications, moisture is added to a moving stream of outdoor air that is delivered to the indoors, while an equal quantity of indoor air is exhausted from the building. Because a direct evaporative cooling system does not recirculate any air, it is imperative that the building's exhaust system is able to match the rate at which conditioned air is introduced to the space. If this is not done, the building will become pressurized, which leads to insufficient airflow as well as difficulty in closing doors and air whistling through stairwells and elevator shafts. Okay, in this figure, pumped circulating water systems typically keep a pad of woven fibers or corrugated paper wet. While air flows through the pad, the pad absorbs water by capillary action and maximizes contact between airstream and the wet medium. To ensure that all surfaces are wet, more water is usually pumped than can be evaporated and excess water drains from the bottom of the media into the sump. An automatic refill system replaces evaporated water. Okay. An indirect system cool air without adding moistures. They are more expensive and use more energy than direct systems, but they can provide energy efficiency in applications where direct evaporative cooling may not be practical. Okay, we discussed four types of HVAC system among several type of HVAC system over here. Next point is the system selection or the particular application. For the system selection, there are several parameters like space availability, energy consumption, capital cost of the system, and life cycle cost of the system. So guys, hope you understand about the basic of HVAC system and how to design HVAC system. Thank you.